We are pleased to welcome to the show and to the community the founder and president of J. Jeffers and Company, Josh Jeffers. Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Good to see you. Welcome to JTV and welcome to Jackson.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So you bought a hotel.
We're buying a hotel.
Buying a hotel.
That's right.
So Jeffers and Company, the
Yeah.
successful developer chosen for the Hotel Hayes project. Last year, you made a commitment to buy the Hotel Hayes and to develop it. And it's one of many, as you know, development shots at this project. It sounds like this one is getting close to being a go.
It is. Yeah, we've been working on it for almost a year. And our company specializes in historic rehabilitation and what we call adaptive reuse, which just means taking a building that was designed for one purpose and converting it over to a new use. Mm-hmm. And as much fun as that is, as rewarding as it is, it's also very time consuming. It's time consuming from the perspective of finding financial feasibility. We typically are layering in multiple sources of funding to make projects like this a go. But then it's also very challenging, as you can imagine, just from a design perspective, reimagining these buildings and what they want to become.
Yeah, the building originally was a 200-room hotel, had beautiful space, public space on the ground floor, ballroom, restaurant, retail spaces. And I think everyone remembers or hears stories about the Hayes in its heyday, and they'd like it to come back with some of those features.
Yeah.
So what do you envision for your development?
Yeah. So anytime we go into a new project like this, and we think about reimagining it, and again, what does it want to become? Where we start with is what was its original design intent? What was it built to be? What role did it play in the community? How was it used for decades until at some point it, met the end of its useful life, shall we say? And in this case, it's pretty amazing if you walk through that building. Even now, there have been so many areas that have been demolished and removed, but there's so much of its original grandeur that still comes through. You've got super tall ceilings. There are 2 event venues in there that you don't have to be that imaginative to see how great and glorious those would have been originally. There's still a lot of original architectural detail, a lot of egg and dart plaster. There's even some of the original wall coverings in there going all the way back to 1926, which we don't see that very often. So our plan is to really restore it to that high level. This will be a Class A building, a mixed-use development that will be 84 market rate apartment units. We're going to go with a multifamily use as opposed to a hotel use. And then the lower portions of the floor, there's almost 25,000 feet of commercial space. So we'll have retail suites on the ground floor. We're putting a restaurant back in to where there used to be a restaurant called the Drum Room. Drum Room, that's right. So we'll have a restaurant back there. And we plan to revitalize and put the event venues back into service as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting, it's square base and a T tower.
That's right.
And because of that, there's 2 rooftop spaces on both the east and west. Are those spaces, they'd be great for like outdoor dining.
They would be phenomenal for outdoor dining. Unfortunately, because of the structural design of the building, there's really no way for us to make it so that it could be outdoor space. The only way to do it would be to run sort of columns inside the old ballroom. So unfortunately, we can't do that, but yeah.
Yeah, one of those roofs is on the 4th floor, one's on the 5th floor.
Yeah.
And you're envisioning apartments at that point, 4 up to 10?
On 4 up, that's right, yeah. And one nice feature of those lower level spaces that are, have kind of that outdoor component to it is that it creates a really nice view corridor. So the views from outside those units are pretty spectacular. It's got a great location within the downtown. You're right next to the library. It's got statues, and the library building itself has a pretty nice architectural style. if you look out some of the windows, you think you probably don't even need artwork. You know, you've just got this library to look at. And then there's the other space next door that's sort of an outdoor amphitheater kind of a space, which is a pretty nice amenity for residents as well.
Well, this is your first time to Jackson.
That's right.
And I was surprised to hear that because you and your firm have made a really hefty commitment.
Absolutely.
So now that you've been here and you've seen it in person, what do you think?
I love it. It's there's a lot to like about the building, like I mentioned. A lot of its original grandeur comes through. It's actually very conducive to a reuse. This will be, you know, again, I'm biased when I say this because our company specializes in taking on these sort of white elephant type development projects. But for us, this is actually not, well, let's just say I've seen much worse in terms of the condition of a building before we get to it.
Yeah, the projects that you've done, they're spectacular, really. Your portfolio on your website has a lot of beautiful buildings where, you know, architectural gems, many in Milwaukee, in your town. There's one, the Milwaukee Athletic Center, that looks very much like the Hotel Hayes.
I keep saying that. So every time we walk through the Hotel Hayes, I think this is like a mini version of the Milwaukee Athletic Club. It's got that same, you know, similar time period when it was built. Mm-hmm. It's got that same, you know, very upscale feel to it with a lot of public spaces, the tall ceilings, the big windows. So the Milwaukee Athletic Club was almost twice the size in terms of square footage. That was about a $75 million project that we completed right around a year ago. So that's why I say the Hotel Hayes restoration for us should be, you know, right down the fairway.
So is there a dollar figure are you pegging to the redevelopment of this building?
Yeah, it's a roughly $30 million project, plus or minus. And, you know, I will tell you, last year, 2022, for people in my line of work was actually a pretty tough year because interest rates have gone up so much, construction costs are up 30%, and both of those variables, interest rates going up, construction costs going up, they don't appear to be going down anytime soon. So one of the reasons that we have so much confidence in our timeline to redevelop the Hayes building is that we've accounted for those changes in the marketplace. So we've got construction cost estimates now that are much higher than they used to be. We're underwriting interest rates much higher than it used to be, but we're still able to find a path to making it work.
Yeah, and I think that's what everyone feared with both of those reasons, but a third reason, work from home, where downtowns are all across country have emptied.
That's right. Yeah. So we own a lot of downtown office properties, and one of the really interesting dynamics that we've seen is that smaller office spaces have actually had a lot of demand and interest in them still. So, you know, 1,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet. There are a lot of small businesses that I think still put a lot of value on working from an office environment. And then with people working from home or remote working, you know, in a lot of cases, that means they're working from, you know, their apartment or condo or home or whatever it is. And that's actually been, in some respects, a good thing for downtown. You've got people that are there more often. They're using the restaurants, they're shopping, and bringing a different level of, you know, vitality to downtown environments.
Most of your projects, when you started them, you were the first in a downtown or an area of downtown to reinvigorate that area. And you told me before the show that here you are coming toward the end of where a lot of development has gone. Does that, I would imagine, would be an advantage, but as owner of the building, what are some of the things that you see as maybe will spin off from your ownership of the Hayes building?
Yeah. So that's a great point. We consider ourselves catalytic real estate developers. We work very closely with communities and businesses and public officials to, you know, typically be the first, you know, new development in a downtown. And here, we're definitely not the first. There's been a lot of development happening, which you're exactly right. That actually helps our project in the sense that there are other apartments, there are other restaurants and other venues that, you know, will help support the reuse of this building. And our hope is that this isn't our first, or I'm sorry, that this isn't our last project in Jackson. We typically, because we have to spend so much time to get to know, the local economic drivers of communities like Jackson, our standard is we typically like to invest at least $100 million into a community. So with Hotel Hayes redevelopment being roughly 1/3 of that, our hope is that through this project, we find more opportunities to continue to be a part of the revitalization and great things happening here.
We've got some more buildings to show you.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So people are going to ask, what do you mean by market rate? What do you have?
Yeah, so market rate just means that there are no rent restrictions on it. Most of the apartment units there will range in price from as low as $900 to up to about $2,000 for some of the larger units there. And it just means, again, no restrictions on that. Timeline. So we are through the schematic design of the building. We now know what exactly the layout of each individual floor would be. We've programmed out what we expect the 25,000 feet of commercial space to be on the lower 3 floors of the building. And we're at a point where we are tracking pretty well for a September start date, September groundbreaking date. And then it's a big building, so it's about a 16-month construction schedule, which would put us opening the building in early 2025.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you will be controlling the space on the first and second and third floor. You'll be seeking appropriate tenants, restaurants that would be a good fit for that kind of a building.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we've actually already had some very promising conversations with some of the other business owners in the area that it seems like everyone we talk to has so much excitement and interest in this building. So we feel pretty good about our chances there.
What I like about the projects that you've done, they have retained the historic nature and assets of the building all throughout, in and out. And I know that's, as you mentioned, one of the commitments to make that look as grand as the architect intended.
That's right. Yeah, so that's why I go back to our first starting point every time is what was the original design intent? How was it used? But the other thing, that comes up on a lot of our projects is people will ask, are we going to restore it to exactly what it used to be? And sometimes people take that to a pretty literal degree because we've had old factories that we've converted, and we'll have people ask us, are you going to try to get the old factory back here? And the answer is almost always no. The challenge, and what is actually one of the most rewarding parts of our business model, is that we have to creatively reimagine what is sort of the second lease on life for this building. So we start with what was its original intent, how did the community perceive that building originally, and now we look around at the world today and think about what makes the most sense for this building in the here and now, and how would people want to use this building in the here and now. And one of the best examples I can give of that is, if you think about apartment units, right? You think about high-end residences. People really value, seeing that plaster molding, or the high ceilings and the big windows, or the original hardwood floors. Those are the elements that people really like. But nobody wants a kitchen or a bathroom that's 100 years old.
Yeah.
They want the modern amenities that are, married in with the original historic character.
And the size too. When you look at the size of the hotel rooms when it was a hotel, they're closet-sized.
They are. Some of the original hotel rooms are in there, and you're not kidding. They're under 100 square feet.
Yeah.
They're very small.
Yeah. Well, it sounds great. We appreciate your investment in the community and your time with us here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We'll be anxious to follow along and look forward to September 2023 for groundbreaking, and then 16 or so months after that, the moving vans pull up.
That's it. That's the plan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Community, it's really, as you've discovered, it's the heart of the community is very much part of that building.
I have experienced that in a really strong way. And again, that's what makes this kind of work so rewarding. It takes a long time. It takes typically a lot longer than people realize to get the stars to align. But, just seeing the excitement from so many people is what helps power us through.
Awesome. Can't wait. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Josh Jeffers is the founder and president of J. Jeffers and Company, the new owners of Hotel Hayes and the developer. More of the show. Stay with us.